on your TV screen, you see that Pastor Hobbs looks excellently. He's got green behind him, and it's good because we're talking about money.
Amen.
So that's why we have the green, Renee. That's why we decided to go with the green. And so I have Pastor Hobbs's mic on, and last week we started what we called, first of all, I'm taking this off.
Me too.
Okay. So last week we started what is called a fundraiser to raise additional money for Boston Praise Radio and TV, Boston Black News, and to raise the resources for WBPG LP 102.9 FM radio. So the other day I was on the air, Pastor Hobbs, and I was just flowing, and I was going to say WBPG. I forgot the call letters, and I went, when we're on W, and I said, okay, forget the call letters, just give the numbers. One, I think I was having a senior moment.
It happens.
It happens, and it happens usually when Renee is behind me, like she is now, because she scares me. What are you looking at? I'm recording.
Bring the screen over.
Bring the screen over? First of all, I invited Renee to be a part of this broadcast, right? I said, Renee, do you want to be a part of the broadcast? And you know what she said? She said no. And I didn't know why she declined to be on the broadcast. And the other thing, Pastor Hobbs, is that we're actually not on the screen because somehow it got deleted.
Oh, no.
Right. So it's okay.
Okay.
I'm going to bring it back up.
Okay.
But I need you to talk about the radio station, and if you can talk a little bit about how you first got involved and give people that little history, and then I'll step right back in and give my history. Renee doesn't want to be involved, and then we'll go from there.
Okay,
All
sure.
right.
So I was a guest here on Boston Praise Radio and TV Network in its infancy stage when we were actually in the balcony of the church, and had the opportunity to be interviewed with regard to healing our land. And Pastor put out a challenge to go to the next level of his vision of Boston Praise Radio and TV Network, and that was actually satellite. And satellite, way back then, we had an opportunity. This is in the infancy stages to broadcast on this station to fill a void in this community of local community broadcasting that was biblically grounded and community based. And that was something I was all in for, that we, wanted to help make come to fruition. So we had an opportunity to be able to broadcast on this station and invest into building this multimedia platform that paying $100 a month for an hour a day for 5 days of the week. And I, having paid for time on a station we had, I don't know if I can say it.
Yeah, you can say it.
WILD, the one station that we had that, a terrestrial radio station that was really the community station here. And I had advertised on that station, and literally for seconds of ads, it cost thousands of dollars. So I knew to be able to broadcast an hour a day, 5 days a week for $100 a month was an incredible opportunity to be able to broadcast and to help seed into this institution that now exists. And here we are. From that point, we have evolved from going from satellite to Pastor had a vision of us going for a license on to have our own license for a low power FM station. We were leasing time on another station, and in addition to the satellite. And I actually had the opportunity to broadcast with Healing Our Land, hosting the church at the midnight hour from 11 p.m. all the way to 6 a.m. In the time we were leasing on this other platform that gave us a broader reach on terrestrial radio, so people who were in prison, people who were incarcerated, people could hear this strong signal on our station that we were having we were leasing time on another station. And we did that for some time. I was gracious to be able to get a sponsor to help to be on that broadcast, and God just blessed people who were incarcerated, were having the opportunity to be ministered to get information, to know how to register to vote, and that they could vote, and who they could vote for, and their positions and their platforms, and even they begin to help sow into this radio station. Many of you know Brother Eric Kennedy, and know that he, even from his canteen, sacrificed because he wanted us to go to the next level of having our own FM signal as opposed to leasing time on this other station. As it would be, time will progress and that station doesn't even exist, and we now have our FCC 102.9.
Okay, so you said something that you may have said before, but I'm just hearing it differently today. So you said that before you were paying for some advertising on another radio station.
Yes.
And what station?
That was
WILD.
WILD.
Okay. And you said that when we started our station here, we said that people can broadcast for $100 a month. They can broadcast 4 times in that month. Eat 1 week, once a week.
Once for 5 days a week, Monday through Friday for an hour.
Okay. And so you had paid WILD thousands of dollars for ads. So when you heard about $100 just to broadcast, you said, I'm not going to pass that up.
Not at all.
But you didn't come to me and say to me, Pastor, I know you're naive. You don't really know what you're doing. You should be charging people $1,000 a week just to broadcast. You just basically said, $100? Yeah, buddy. And so how long actually have you been broadcasting here? Now I'm the interviewer now.
Yeah.
How long have you been broadcasting?
You know what? Honestly, Pastor, time goes so fast, but I want to say it's been 10 years or over 10 years. Time goes so incredibly fast. It's unbelievable. But I want to say it's been about, because it was certainly before the FCC license existed. It's
right.
When we had the
right,
satellite.
2010. And you're right. We were just on internet and satellite at the time, right? And then somehow, I don't know how we got the idea. Oh yes, I know how we did it. We were watching a radio station in New Jersey. I can't think of the name of the station, and they wanted to feature you on their station. Yes. So they came, picked up our signal, and I remember the first time we were on Roku TV. We had a Roku. No, it wasn't Roku. It was Roku, but we didn't have Roku. But we watched it on their webpage. Yes. And they had a picture of you. And they had captured the image of our station, and they were running it. And I was just like in total awe. Yeah. And so I don't know how or when, but we got the whole image of wanting to be on TV too. So we purchased the webcams, and we started in Renee's office. Yes. And we had one camera, which we still have here. Wow. And I said to myself, we need to keep that camera. No matter what happens, keep that camera, because that is going to be in the museum one day. In the Bruce Wall Museum. That actually will show this. We started, and this camera was unique because it will follow people. It would move, right? Yes. And so it was one camera, and I think we had 3 microphones in Renee's office, and we started broadcasting. Yes. And then, if you can tell the story of God wanted us to expand. Yes. But we didn't have a vision for that type of expansion. And something happened in Renee's office. Could you tell people what happened? I can.
It's funny you mentioned that, because as the gentleman came today to do pest control, she asked me to help her to open up the trap that goes underneath. And I said to her and to the gentleman, is this how the rodent got in? Because he had a huge trap for like rats. And I said it was, and I was reminded of a possum, I believe, that somehow got into the roof of her office and died. Yeah. And its carcass began to deteriorate, and flies and maggots. This was like the plague in Egypt. It's the closest thing I can know to experiencing to what that could have even been like. Right. Literally flies and maggots. We had to come in all gowned up and covered up to kill them, and to find out where this thing was coming from. And as it progressed, we were able to find out where it was. But Pastor always had a vision to move from Renee's office into the space that we're actually in now. And so that happening was the impetus to push us out of that space that now has become her office, that was actually the studio, to this space that Brother Leiter, a gentleman was a member here, and he, I believe, had an illness. I don't recall what it was, like MS or something, but he was a person who was skilled, and he spent a lot of time and labor to build the studio, amongst other people coming in and doing different pieces to bring us to the evolution of where we are now in this space. And many people who actually broadcast, Pastor, on that space, Sister Lita and other folks who came in most recently and see where we are here, are like, wow, to see the expansion and the professionalism of how it's grown. And I have to tell you, for me, I've never been a part of a ministry that I've seen such exponential growth in short span of time. People often talk about fundraisers in churches, and Bishop Bobby Perry told me, if you do fundraisers, even if it's a doorknob or a door, people want to see some evolution and some progress in fundraising. People talk about fundraisers, and sometimes you know, for building funding, building never manifests. Not here.
They're always talking about fundraising, and it never happens. So when we were actually doing the work here at the church this summer, people have actually passed by the church, and somebody told me, whether it was you or Eric, somebody said that somebody walked by the church and said, wow, at least they used their building fund money.
Yes.
And they were referencing the church.
Yes.
You know, so it was positive for us,
Yes.
but negative to other churches that keep building this building fund, but never build anything.
Yes.
You know, so we have grown, and it's amazing. There is a difference between a visionary and a manager. There are two people types.
Yeah.
There are visionaries and managers.
Yep.
The visionary will speak
Yep.
to what they see, or what God is speaking into their hearts and in their lives.
Yes.
But the person who manages
Yes.
is only concerned about managing, being responsible for what they have. Usually the managers are managing the finances of the business. The visionaries are the ones that grow the business.
Yes.
The managers are the ones that just keep the money, and they want to be fiscally responsible. So whenever I had a vision for something, I would not go to a manager and say to the manager, let me tell you what God has been speaking into my heart. Because when you do that to a manager, they don't catch vision.
Not at all.
And they'll try to shut you down. Well,
Yes.
maybe it's not for this season, or maybe it's not for now.
Yes.
And so I usually will share visions with people who are visionaries, so that they can help me expand
Yes.
what it is that God is trying to expand in my life. And the only thing I talk to managers about, I only talk to managers about managing the finances and making sure we have this and that. And if I kept the visionaries and the managers away from each other, then we can grow. But when you put them both in the same room, one would try to cancel out the other.
It's
so
true.
So we have grown,
Yeah.
and there's more growth that needs to take place.
Yes.
And this summer we had the Academy for Broadcasting for Teenagers.
Yes.
And it was 5 teenagers and 6 teenagers, and they met here 5 days a week. They came in the morning around 8:30, 9 o'clock, and they left in the afternoon. But every Tuesday they had their own radio broadcast. And the first broadcast was phenomenal because they did their homework. They did their research before they came on the air, and they cracked jokes. They were serious. They were funny, but they had substance.
Yeah.
And it was those young people just melted me, because it reminded me of the Academy of Broadcasting. It used to be called the School of Broadcasting, and I'm going to tell you why on the air, why we had to change it. Do Do you know why we
I
had to
do.
change it? Tell people why we had to change it, because I'm not going to tell them.
I think it was the acronym didn't
It didn't fit.
it didn't fit.
Because people were walking around and somebody would say to them, "Oh, what are you doing this summer?" "I'm going to the School of Broadcasting." And then the acronym came. "What are you doing this summer?" "I'm going to SOB." SOB? What is that? So we changed it from SOB, School of Broadcasting. I have to really be deliberate when I speak.
Yes.
Now, to AOB, Academy of Broadcasting.
Right. I forgot about that.
And those young people had a great time this
Yeah.
summer, and I watched them grow.
Yeah.
I watched them grow in ways that they probably didn't even know they were growing.
Absolutely. I saw it, and I totally agree. And I remember the initial School of Broadcasting and its iteration at that time being AOB, and seeing just how even those folks and their lives, how that impacted those young people's lives, and their, not just them, but their sphere of influence.
Well, I'm looking forward to something like this happening, not just for young people, but for adults.
Yeah.
And today what we're doing is that we're priming and just setting vision for a fundraiser here at Boston Praise Radio and TV, Boston Black News, and WBPG LP 102.9 FM radio. Let me say it like you're supposed to say. You're listening to WBPG LP 102.9 FM radio in Boston. I'm getting there. It's a fundraiser because every month we have to determine whether or not we have met the budget.
Mm-hmm.
And the pandemic pulled a lot of people away from broadcasting, and so we're down to really bare bones. One of the things that I really want to do, this is visionary speaking, is I didn't really necessarily want people to have to pay to broadcast. Ideally, if we could have taken ads, we would have taken ads, and the ads would have paid the broadcasters. But we cannot take ads on a low-powered FM station. We can't do that. So the only way we can survive, there are three ways to survive. I'll get two of them. I hope I get the third.
Mm-hmm.
One is for broadcasters to pay.
Mm-hmm.
Two is donations coming in, people just donating.
Mm-hmm.
And three is sponsorship. And people who sponsor say, I have a business, I want my business to be recognized every day on that station.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to sponsor that broadcast. I'm going to sponsor Pastor Hobbs' broadcast when he's on. I'm going to sponsor Pastor Bruce's broadcast when he's on. Or I'm going to sponsor Mamleo. They just choose their broadcast, and they sponsor that broadcast financially, and they're mentioned at the top of the hour. This broadcast is being sponsored by the Taste of Eden restaurant in Dorchester. Taste of Eden, where it all started. So that has been a way for us to bring a little bit of revenue in, but the main source of revenue right now are the people that are broadcasting who are paying. So I believe that in order to get to the point where we do not have to charge, we have to charge. And we have to develop something that people can catch a vision on, and where people will say, you know what, I want to be a sponsor of all of these broadcasts. And if we had the sponsorship that we needed or the donations that we needed, we wouldn't have to charge people.
Absolutely.
And that's where I want to go with the station. What are your thoughts?
Absolutely. I totally agree. The ad piece, I know that we can't do that on the FM, but I wish, and I don't know, I know we talked about creative kinds of ways to be able to do, to tease that out, but that's not the whole conversation. But
well, one of the things that I thought of is just advertising on the internet and social media. The problem with that is that if people want to complain about your station, if they heard an ad, they would say, gee, they're not supposed to be advertising. Let's complain about it. And now, although we were only advertising on the internet and not the FM,
Mm-hmm.
we would have to hire an attorney to do the research,
Mm-hmm.
to find out when that complaint was filed, what day it was, what time it was, and then we would have to go before a tribunal and explain that we were not on the FM, we were on the internet, we were off the FM at a certain time during the day, then we're on the internet and social media. So that could cost you $5,000 just for the attorney and time.
Sure.
So you've lost money.
Yeah.
So
At this stage.
the person who advises me said, don't even go down that street, because
Okay.
if you go down that street, you can end up hurting yourself.
Makes sense.
I'm going to give out the number, 617-282-0685, 617-282-0685. It's Pastor Hobbs and it's Bruce Wall. And together we're talking about how we started this broadcast. And we're going to give you the Cash App. I'm going to actually put it on the screen. If you'd like to make a donation, there are three ways. One, you can Cash App us at $BPRTV. Cash App us $BPRTV, $BPRTV on Cash App. Or you can make a donation. You can write a check
Mm-hmm.
and write it to Boston Black News
Mm-hmm.
and send the check to 670 Washington Street, Dorchester, Mass. Zip code 02124. 670 Washington Street, Dorchester, Mass. Zip code 02124. One more time, Wall. 617 is the phone number, but the address is 670 Washington Street, Dorchester, Mass. Zip code 02124. Okay, Pastor Hobbs, so tell people why we need the finances, because although we're a radio station in a church,
Mm-hmm.
we should have a discussion on people's perceptions of the church. Why do they raise money every Sunday? Why can't they just have church, never raise money, and they can pay their staff out of air? They can pay the electric bill out of air. I don't know why they. So why do we need to raise support for the radio station?
Well, as you just said, I mean, to be able to pay for heat, to pay for lights, for electricity. I mean, this draws a lot of electricity, all the things that it takes to be able to have the station run.
Wait a minute. You said that we needed to raise money for heat. That's what you said.
Yeah.
I heard you say that.
Yes.
Okay. I could challenge that statement.
Okay.
Okay. You're supposed to be a church.
Yes.
You have a direct connection to heaven.
Okay.
You know where I'm going?
I hear you.
Okay. So you have a direct connection to heaven.
So we can control the heat temperature.
That's close. You have a direct connection to heaven, but you also have a connection. You know where hell is. Tap into hell and get all that heat to come up into your church.
Nah.
It doesn't work that way.
No.
So, okay, why do we need it?
So to be able to pay for heat, this is a big facility. It's an old facility, 136 years old facility. That
you've done the math, huh?
I have.
Okay. Right then in your head?
No,
okay.
in preparation for a message.
Okay.
So 136 years old facility that we have to continue to keep water from coming in, to keep all the things that it takes to be able to keep the building not flooded, not the light, all the things, rodents not taking over the place, lights, equipment.
So what is the difference between the average person who has financial obligations? They have to pay rent, they pay for a car, they pay for schooling, they pay for daycare, they pay for lights, they pay for gas. Why is it that people do not see that the church and the radio station, we have the same payments? Where did the payments come from if it doesn't come from people giving every Sunday? I don't understand why they think that the church should never raise support. You got to do it every week. You got to do it every Sunday. People pay their their monthly telephone bills, their monthly gas bill. They have to make those payments.
Yes.
Why people do not think that the church has financial obligations? We need, when this church was filled to capacity, balcony and lower level,
Wow.
we had 3 full-time pastors.
Wow.
We had a full-time musician.
Uh-huh.
We had a full-time administrator.
Wow.
And because the church was full and people were giving, as the church has dwindled, and especially during the pandemic, we haven't had those reasons. We're just making it. And I can't believe, but it's true, so many churches are still not open. How are they going to survive? How do they survive if people are not coming to the church and if they're not streaming? Are we going to see churches' doors closed and never open again?
Well, I think many church doors have closed. We know, unfortunately, many churches are not even here. We know we had the Ebenezer Baptist Church, one of the most recent historic churches built by slaves. That was, one of the another institutions in that black church, if you will, in particular, that was sold, being converted into high-end condos. Every piece of property, every piece of real estate is being bought and sold right here in our neighborhood. The church right on the corner of Talbot. It was torn down, and they're doing construction there. I don't know what's going to be there. Probably more condos, but this is the pattern that is happening. Is real estate and space is being all auctioned off to high-end condos.
You know something? If something would have happened and we had financial issues and we had to say we're not going to make it, do you know this church cannot be converted into condos?
No.
Because one, it's a historic church.
Wow.
And it's my understanding that they could not turn it into condos. And because of some recent transactions with the city of Boston, we couldn't even sell this church if we wanted to, because if we sold the church, we would have to reimburse the city for all the finances that they recently gave us to do the renovations.
Wow.
So
it's an institution.
this institution will be here whether or not it's emptied or full.
Wow.
And we are blessed. If
Yes.
you can, and then we'll go to fundraising a little bit more. Could you share with the people that are listening how many churches are worshiping in this church and who they are and how it's set up?
Sure. Right now we have 2. We utilize the space for other entities. But right now there are 2 churches. Our church here, we have service from 9:30 in the morning till about 11:30, 12, the latest. And then we have a second church, the Greater Grace Apostolic Church, where Elder Frederick Miller is the senior pastor. And they have services here from every Sunday, 1 p.m. to 3 p.m. And I have the privilege of serving as a liaison, and oftentimes will play the organ for them as well. So I love it. That's where I come from, Pentecostal Holiness Apostolic. So it's another flavor. And they're so appreciative to be able to have a space that they can come and feel free to worship. They're so appreciative to you, to Pastor K, and to the Global Ministries Christian Church. And we built a relationship here where we're advancing the kingdom. And so, that's what's happening presently. And from 1 p.m. to 3. So I go to 2 services most every Sunday and absolutely love it. And people appreciate being able to have, some people want to go to both services. Some people will have an option. And even people, young folks who are coming to the church who are developing their musical gifts and even being able to play for both services. So, we have 2 services right now.
So, if you want to support us and help us this morning, we're focusing on the radio and TV station. Every month we have to meet our obligations. Every month. And with the lack of broadcasters with us right now, the expenses stay the same. Yeah. So if we had more broadcasters, it would make it easier to reach our financial goals. But with fewer broadcasters, it's harder. But we should be able to bring the money in. And if you want to donate, if you're looking at us, the screen says donate to us at $BPRTV, $BPRTV. That's Cash App. And you could use Cash App as a way of supporting this radio and TV ministry. Every morning when I get up, if I can get a little personal here, every morning when I get up, when I go into the bathroom to get ready, the second thing I do is turn on my. I have an old Android phone that I'm not using as a phone. I use it for Wi-Fi, so it's in the bathroom, and through Wi-Fi I click on Boston Praise Radio, or I can listen to any news station that I want to listen to on the phone. Never throw your phones away. You can always use the Wi-Fi to have one phone in this room, one phone in that room. And if you set it up the right way, you can have your phone, you can use the Bluetooth, put speakers in your bathroom, and Boston Praise Radio and TV, you'll be able to hear it thumping and pounding, So every morning, that's what I do. If Bishop Branch is on, I'm on time.
Yeah.
If Bishop Branch is not on, but there's
Mike D,
yeah, I'm late.
You're late.
Isn't it amazing?
Yeah, you know the time by the broadcast.
Right.
It's true.
And same thing on Sunday mornings. I say if I beat Bishop Harold Branch into the bathroom, if I'm in there and it's just music and it's not him and Renee, I say, oh man, I beat him this morning. I'm going to be to church early this morning. And then when you're in the car and you're driving, you say, okay, Mike D is still on. Okay, you're ahead of time.
Yes.
But then that's what I do every morning. I listen to the radio station in the bathroom, and I listen to the gospel music every morning.
Man,
I listen, and I ask myself the question: how many radio stations in the city of Boston that have a license?
I'm glad you brought that piece up, because I think it's important as you talk about the resources and raising. That's another financial thing.
Talk about it.
It's FCC licenses. I mean, we pay for licenses. That's something we are a licensed station. Many people, Christians, unfortunately, are broadcasting on pirated, illegal stations. And I really challenge you to, if you're one of those folks, to be able to, talk to God about that, because the Bible says, render unto Caesar, or the government, the things that are Caesar's, and unto God the things that are God's. And just because we are the church and we're doing the gospel, we have to do things in decency and order. Don't think just by any means necessary. People don't. Many Christians, unfortunately, are broadcasting on illegal stations. We are not an illegal station. Pastor has dots the I, crosses the T's, and we have low power FCC, Federal Communications Licensed stations, that will constantly have to pay for the things to be able to be up to date with the licenses, to be able to play people's music. We have a license to do that. And even with our multimedia network, we're still navigating how to be able to play music that we pay licenses for on some of the social media platforms that are not necessarily cognizant that that's the case, and maybe I have to challenge that. But licenses are things, not one but multiple licenses are things that we have to pay for consistently to be legal and to broadcast.
617-282-0685. If you want to give us a call and let us know that, one, you're listening, two, that you will support us today. We're going to do the math in just a few minutes, but Brother Jamal Crawford called the other day, and he was talking about making a pledge to support the radio station. And he said, if, I'm going to do it right here, if 100 people gave $50 a month, that would be $5,000 a month.
Wow.
That would be enough to carry us. 100 people. We have more than 100 people who listen to us.
Absolutely.
They may not listen for the full hour. They may listen for 5 minutes or 10 minutes or 30 minutes. But that is so easy. $50 is not, I donate to the station.
I do too.
So $50 a month is nothing.
It's nothing.
What could I give up for $50 a month? Okay, I can give up the pizza.
Yeah.
I can give up the clams. I can give up the lobster. And then I could die.
but Pastor, you're talking about giving it up for. You're talking about that's a meal. Let's be or two, right? $50.
Oh, I went to have a meal with my family this Sunday, and we went to not Windy City, but we went some Olive Garden because I like the salads and the bread.
It's good.
And so it was close to $200 for all of us.
Yeah.
And I said to myself, the next time I'm going to donate this money to the radio station and they can eat at the house. We can have canned dinner.
Sure.
Come right out the can.
Okay.
But go ahead, $50 meals.
Yes. I mean,
It's not like you're giving lobster up for the rest of your life.
Yeah, you're talking about, simply, really clearly. I mean, people spend that, for a meal, easily for a meal, or so $50 a month is a nominal amount to be able to invest. And again, as I said, I paid $100 a month, and that was a sustaining thing to be able to be on the air an hour a day. That was not just to broadcast, but to help to build something.
Okay, so let's go back to you.
Yes.
So if you said, I'm going to give this up so that I can give $50 to the radio station.
Yes.
So you say, I'm going to give up an Uber for one day and I'm going to walk, because the walk for you, the walk would be good for you.
It would.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You lose
Some of
that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I don't have anything to give up.
I see.
617-282-0685. 617-282-0685. We're talking about the radio station. This is going to be, I'm not going to say fundraising month, but I'm going to say we're in the fundraising period.
Amen.
I know that the finances have gotten low, and on the Boston Praise Radio and TV side, and so we are trying to bolster. It's amazing. The resources have been going to Boston Black News,
Wow.
not necessarily Boston Praise Radio and TV.
Wow.
And with the Boston Black News resources, with some money that came in, that money has all been designated on specific things. Like, we're going to purchase all new microphones.
Oh, wow. Great.
And it's about $2,000, and we have not purchased them yet because we're working on a tax exemption certificate that I need, I don't have to pay the taxes.
Sure.
As soon as that's resolved, so you're going to see some new things around here, and we need the support of every. If you listen, you should be supporting.
Absolutely.
If this is where you receive your political news, your spiritual substance, the number of people, and we got to push it even all the more, the number of people who tell me that they listen to us and watch us on Sunday mornings and watch the service from all over the country.
Wow.
I mean, it's crazy. And people can say, they may not watch us every week, but they say, let's turn on Global Ministries because I know they're on.
Yeah.
And let's check them out and see how they're doing. And then when they watch us, I ask people, how do you feel when you watch us and you see the Black History segment, or the way we do the music at the beginning, more like a concert concept, the way we build up. I'm hoping that people are not looking at their watches and saying, what time are we going to leave? I don't do that. And I don't want to see other people doing that. I want it to be so exciting, so dynamic, that they say, is it over so soon? Like Sunday when you preach, is it over so soon? Is there more? You want people asking, is there more?
Amen. Amen.
And that will keep bringing people back. And we want people, when they listen to the radio station, saying, I want more. Like Larry Ellison talks about listening to NPR and listening to that FM station, either WBUR or GBH. And he likes the intellectual stimulation, I'm sure.
Yeah.
It's good news.
Yes.
And it's an intelligent radio broadcast.
Yes.
And I want our station to be an intelligent gospel talk news station.
Amen.
The only thing that we're adding that the other stations do not add is the God factor.
Amen.
The God factor is ahead of everything else we do.
Amen.
And my attitude is that if people are offended by the God factor, There are hundreds of radio stations you can turn to.
Absolutely.
But we're not going to stop the
Nah,
God factor because
nah.
it's the God factor
Sure.
that's kept us going since
Amen.
2010. The other thing I want to say is, I don't know if you've seen this, but I saw it again. There is a radio station called Spark FM.
I've heard of it.
Okay, it's owned by a black woman who
Mhm.
tried to break into the radio industry,
Mhm.
and they wouldn't let her break through, so she decided to develop an internet radio station here in Boston,
Okay.
Spark FM.
Mhm.
Now, it's not on to the best of my knowledge, it's not on the FM
Mhm.
signal.
Mhm.
It's on the internet only,
Exclusive.
but they call it Spark FM.
Hmm.
And there are other stations that use the FM call two letters. Not that they're on the FM, but they use. I gotta ask people, why do
How
you
they
use
can do that.
FM if you're not on the FM?
Right.
What's that about?
Right.
So, so I was in my car and I was looking at the back of a bus,
Mhm.
and there was an advertisement
Yes.
for Spark FM on the back of the buses.
Wow.
So I told myself I was going to pick up the phone and call the MBTA
Hmm.
and advertising department and say, I saw that you have Spark FM.
Mhm.
We are a nonprofit radio station.
Mhm.
Would you be willing to put Boston Praise Radio, Boston Black News, WBPG, LP 102.9 FM radio on the back of your buses? It's advertising.
Yeah.
And somehow they've been able to score an advertising agreement, a contract, or gift from the MBTA. My attitude is they can do it.
Absolutely.
We should do it.
Absolutely.
Right? Then people can see more.
Yeah.
I'd like to get a couple billboards in
Yes.
Carbon Square
Yes.
so people can
Yes.
see. We used to, years ago, the advertising company actually gave us the billboards. We didn't pay a dime. We had it for maybe half a year.
Wow.
They would put it up, and it was really the church. They were advertising the church for free.
Wow.
So we need your support. Again, if you want to donate, if you're looking at us on the screen, it says donate to us at BPRTV, $BPRTV. That's Cash App. You know, you've heard of Vimeo, correct?
Yes. Yes.
All right. So people use Cash App and they also use Vimeo.
Yes.
Do you know the difference between the two? Because I don't.
I actually don't know the difference between the two. I really don't. They're very similar, from my understanding, as they're both ways that you can, that's connected to an account, that you can be able to quickly send money to people, but I do not know the distinction between the two. I will have to inquire. I know that there are, that there's several ones. So I think there's even more than just that. I think there may be another one or two ways, like Cash App, Vimeo.
Well, see, it's one of the problems in our church that I've been trying to resolve is that we have many different ways that people can give online.
Yes.
But the problem is that we use Cash App for the church and
Right.
we use it for the radio station.
Right.
That can be confusing if they do not designate where they want it to go.
Right.
The other one that we have, you see, when two seniors
PayPal?
talking, not PayPal, the one you type on you use a text.
Text. It's by text. I mean, I don't know what you call it, but
we have that one.
Yeah.
That is being used exclusively for the church.
okay.
But we need to separate them. Boston Praise Radio and TV, we should only use that for Boston Praise Radio and TV. And we need to they want to set up a Vimeo for Boston Black News. Because technically, there isn't any way to give online to Boston Black News as of this point. Only thing you can do is write a check. So
You can't. You. I mean, with the.
we don't have a Cash App.
But I'm saying right, and I mean, BPRTV, or even the main webpage, www.bostonpraiseradio.tv. When you click on the donate button, right there, you can be able to give resources and designate where you want
You
it to
got
go
to designate. That's
however you do
right.
it,
A
you
lot
can
of people
designate.
don't do that.
That's a priest
Right, so it just comes in and you have to figure out
where it was intended to go.
So you say Pastor Hobbs. So if you didn't designate it, it can go to either or, right? Either or, as far as we know, it's gonna. Well, it can go to any of the any of the three, quite frankly.
If it's not designated.
If it's not designated.
So designate. It's important to designate if you wanted to go to Boston Praise, you want to go to Boston Black News, or if you wanted to go to Global Ministries Christian.
Right. Well, one of the other things that I want to share is that we were so close to landing a contract with a institution that was going to do something that is not being done around the country.
Mm-hmm.
And this institution wanted to do it with us. So we had worked for a couple months on, we were negotiating, then we started having weekly meetings with them. We prepared a contract, sent it out, but there was a glitch and the institution could not follow through. They couldn't continue with their plan to be on our station. We were getting ready to roll this out. We were going to make a grand announcement about this new opportunity that we have here at Boston Praise Radio and TV and Boston Black News. So right now it's off the table,
Okay.
but hopefully, by the grace of God, as you would say, by the grace of God, that it will come back on the
Amen.
table,
Amen.
and that there are other entities.
And we'll do
I'd like to get a nursing home, not nursing home, a funeral home to sponsor a broadcast, because we all should be thinking about our final days
Yeah.
and things that we need to do.
Yeah.
It'd be nice to have a funeral home, and if they were to come on and sponsor a broadcast, I would bring them on periodically and have them talk about their business. Just to,
Amen.
because we need to be talking to our congregations about the final days of our lives
Yes.
and things that we need to do. We shouldn't wait until the week before we go to figure out what we're supposed to be doing.
GoFundMe pages and so forth to bury, our loved ones. It's unfortunate.
Well, our time is up.
Wow.
We are recording this, so we'll keep this broadcast in the queue, and people will hear it again and again. And I thank you for
My pleasure.
being with us. You're the man in green today. I'm the man in confusion behind me. And we'll do this again in the coming days. By the way, are you broadcasting this evening? Everybody wants to know.
Yes, I am. God willing.
At what time?
4 to 6.
4 to 6. And you've been listening to Boston Praise Radio and TV, Boston Black News. Coming up in 1 minute will be, I was going to say 3 black men, but that's not what it's called. It's called 3 Dead Men. No.
No.
It's called The 3 Blind Men.
No.
The 3 Crippled Men. No. The 3 Young Men.
There it is.
It's coming up.
Yes.
And we can't wait. God bless you all. Thanks for listening, and thanks for being a part of us.